Patriots fans, your New England Patriots are just moments away from kickoff. Week 2, the Pats take on the Pittsburgh Steelers in the Steel City. But how will their quarterback be able to weather through some health issues he's had this week? Dr. Trimble is with me today to talk about that and more. Stay tuned. You're about to be locked into the Locked On Patriots podcast.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxborough faithful, and thank you once again for making Locked On Patriots not only a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage, but also your first listen every day. Remember, Locked On Patriots free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So smash that subscribe button and download, subscribe to, and follow Locked On Patriots wherever you get your podcasts. I'm your host, Mike Debate. I cover your New England Patriots for Pat's Country of Sports Illustrated, so check us out. Let me know what's on your mind by following my Twitter page at MDABATENFL. And while you're out there showing some Twitter love to that Twitterverse, please follow the Locked On Patriots account as well at LO_Patriots. And of course, folks, remember that today's episode of Locked On Patriots is presented by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is a daily fantasy made easy. Pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less than their PrizePicks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on your entry. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code LOCKEDON. That's PrizePicks.com, promo code LOCKEDON. Patriots fans, thank you for joining me here on this special weekend episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast, and we are getting you ready for a 1 p.m. kickoff on Sunday, September 18th. The Patriots and the Steelers hook up in the Steel City in Pittsburgh, and the Patriots try to avoid an 0-2 hole for the first time since the 2020, not even 2020, folks, since the 2001 season. Can you imagine? It's been a long time since the Patriots have started 0-2, and a lot of that is going to be determined by the health of their starting quarterback, Mac Jones. And here today to help me break down what Mac's health may look like on the field, as well as a couple of prominent injuries to a couple of prominent Patriots, is Dr. Kyle Trimble, Doctor of Physical Therapy. He runs the site bangedupbills.com. Folks, one of the great minds in the business. Don't let the Bills in the title fool you. This guy is very much in tune to anything that happens in the AFC East when it comes to injuries. Kyle, thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome back to Locked On Patriots.
Mike, thanks for having me back on. Patriots fans, thanks for letting me come in. I know I'm the enemy, but thank you for letting me share my information with you today.
Absolutely. There are no enemies on Locked On Patriots. We love our Bills brethren. We love our Jets brethren. All right, maybe I'm going a little too far on that one. Most of the Finns fans are pretty good. Had a couple of them come at me about some Tua comments that I made where I really wasn't knocking Tua, but at the same time, it's all good. All fair is love and war when it comes to the AFC East, my friend. And let's start with the business of the day. The New England Patriots are preparing. They're actually winging their way to Pittsburgh as we speak to take on the Steelers tomorrow at 1 p.m. But all eyes are on quarterback Mac Jones. Dr. Trimble, earlier this week, the New England Patriots got a little bit of shaky news regarding Mac Jones. Shortly after the end of Sunday's game, Mac went directly to the X-ray room instead of meeting with the media. Very unorthodox for Mac Jones, but he is definitely getting better news, or got better news. The X-rays came back negative for a possible back problem. We heard later that it was definitely due to back spasms. And he was on the field Wednesday. Everything looked good until he suffered what is reported as a stomach illness on Thursday, and he did not practice. And a lot of people wondered whether the combination of the two might keep him out of this game on Sunday. Well, Patriots' final injury report was released on Friday. Everything came back clear, it looks like. Mac was on the field, removed from the report, full participant. Looks like all systems go. But you and I both know that it's not always that easy. Or maybe you can educate us today and tell us it is that easy. Bottom line, New England Patriots fans want to know, is there any chance that either the back issue or the illness hampers Mac Jones' performance on Sunday?
There's a slight chance for both, but I'm pretty optimistic he's going to be able to go 100% here. So
Mhm.
we'll get into the back injury first. So there isn't a clear idea when the actual injury happened, but there's some injury Bills reporters, not excuse me, there's some Patriots reporters that had thought that he suffered the injury with 13:05 left in the fourth quarter. He took a high hit and a low hit, so he has legs taken out and he got hit for around the chest area, and that led him to fall directly on his back. That direct trauma in itself could have been enough to cause injury to the back and just cause muscle spasms. So
Mhm.
what a muscle spasm is just an involuntary contraction of the muscle, and it's a body protective mechanism to prevent further injury. So when we get an injury, your body says, hey, let's not move that body part. Let's not do this because it doesn't want to create further damage. So the spasm of the muscle is just one of those ways to say, hey, let's not do that there. It was also, they played Miami, correct? Yeah, they played
did.
Miami. So
Yes.
he also could have been dehydrated. So having the hit to the back along with the potential dehydration could have caused the back spasms. The back spasms aren't a big deal in itself there. They do happen. He was taking x-ray, obviously, because he's the franchise quarterback. They would do that with anybody, though. They were obviously looking to see whether he suffers fracture, burst fracture, anything that could cause damage, even ribs in there. All of the x-rays came back negative, which was great. And it was just a matter of just pain and just trying to work through any discomfort he had. So I will say that if his spasms do continue to persist, that could be a sign of some other underlying issues, such as like a herniated disc, for example. But based on the mechanism of injury with him falling directly on his back, there's a little or no chance that actually happened. He would have had to land more on his butt or have more rotational component to suffer herniated disc in these cases. So I think he's gonna be okay. And then as long as he's hydrated from the stomach bug, the illness that he's dealing with, he should be good to go for week 2.
That's excellent news for the New England Patriots. Obviously, quarterback play is a concern for the Patriots right now. And although Mac has had his struggles, he is generally regarded as the guy that the Patriots fans believe can help lead this team back to prominence. And we've seen seedlings of that within his games last season and also his performance during training camp. I know there have been some hiccups, and people wonder whether or not this might have been related to any pre-existing condition or anything of that nature. But two things I'm glad that you brought up. One is the extreme heat and humidity down in Miami, and that can cause dehydration, which is known to cause spasms, muscle cramping, things of that nature. So it's very important to be able to prepare and make sure your body is well prepared for conditions of that type. And the second is, yes, I do believe that hit probably didn't do him any favors. Mac was, blindsided on that hit as well, definitely, and it was a legal hit. I mean, I'm not saying anything sinister before Miami fans start coming at me for that. That was definitely a clean hit, but the way Mackey was falling away when he threw the ball, the way he landed, definitely awkward, so it can cause some issues there. And it's good to know that the illness at this point too is something that players just unfortunately have to play through. I mean, it's the nature of football or any professional sport, or really any sport at any level, where you have guys in the locker room that are going to transmit certain things, they're going to get difficulties, they're going to get illnesses. It's something that they do have to play through. But the fact that he's on the plane making the trip and that he's been removed from the report is definitely good news. So Kyle, thank you so much. That big sigh of relief you hear from your neck of the woods is coming from New England right now, based on your semi-clean bill of health that you just provided to Mac Jones, and hopefully that'll be able to come through. But Mac isn't the only Patriot nursing an injury right now. There are a couple of prominent Patriots on the offensive side of the ball, folks, that are on injured reserve, players that, quite frankly, the Patriots could have definitely used their services on Sunday. They will be without them. One is hybrid running back and wide receiver Ty Montgomery. Montgomery's injury is clouded with a little bit of mystery. All of a sudden, he popped up on the injury report with a knee issue, and then he was prominently placed on IR earlier this week. Why is that, and what may be his timetable for return? Well, Dr. Kyle Trimble and I will discuss that in one moment when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast continues. But first, folks, remember that today's episode is brought to you by our good friends at PrizePicks.com. And let me talk to you a little bit about how PrizePicks works. You can pick 2 to 5 players, and if they will go score more or less than their PrizePicks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on any entry. There's no competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. PrizePicks offers projections on any sport that you want to watch. That includes NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, PGA golf, all of the college football, men's, women's college basketball that you can handle, soccer, cricket, esports, you name it. PrizePicks has got a bead on it. The entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy, and safe and fast withdrawals are definitely a huge plus. They're currently operational in over 30 states and Canada, so download the PrizePicks app today or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with a promo code Locked On. If you deposit $100, they'll give you $100. If you deposit $50, they'll give you $50. So don't forget to enter promo code Locked On at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks.com. Patriots fans, Dr. Kyle Trimble joins me here today of BangedUpBills.com. And Dr. Trimble, in the previous segment, you definitely gave the Patriots fans some good news regarding Mac Jones and his potential to perform at a high level on Sunday. Obviously, it's up to his play on the field, but it's good to know that his health maladies may not play, folks, that much of a role in whether or not he's able to perform at a high level. But there is a prominent Patriot that was placed on injured reserve earlier this week, and that is hybrid running back wide receiver Ty Montgomery. Kyle, I watched Ty during the preseason, during training camp, really exceeded expectations in terms of being a third down back potential, especially with the retirement of James White. Showed that he can carry the ball out of the backfield. He showed that he can receive the ball out of the backfield, and also showed his ability to be a sound return man. But suffered an ankle injury against the Las Vegas Raiders. Carted off the field, did not look good, but as we saw the roster being put together and players being put on IR, Ty was not one of them, and a lot of people were surprised, myself included. He plays in week 1 against the Miami Dolphins and then is promptly a couple of days later put on injured reserve with a knee injury, which was a little surprising considering he had originally been diagnosed, or so we thought, with an ankle injury. I know that you've done a little bit of research on Ty's injury and what it may mean, how long it may be out. What could Patriots fans realistically expect from Ty Montgomery in the coming days and weeks as he recovers?
So Montgomery's injury is really weird. I went back and looked at the film. He suffered the injury against the Raiders on August 26th, requiring the use of the cart out the field. By video, I thought he suffered a high ankle sprain because the guy got caught from behind and the foot was put into eversion and dorsiflexion and then turned. So that's a common mechanism for a high ankle sprain. The fact he was carted off kind of supported that there. And then he gets put on the injury report with the knee injury. I could see the correlation with that because an MCL sprain has a similar presentation in terms of how the knee kind of buckles inward like that, more of a valgus force through that. And then the ankle, it just depends on which part of the body the force is being applied through, whether it's the knee or the ankle. So very similar mechanism of injury. So I said, okay, maybe an MCL sprain. He's working through something. And then he leads all running backs with the snaps, scores the only touchdown, is playing kickoff returner. He's looking pretty good in what I saw from the video available at the Dolphins game. And then he gets put on IR. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know whether there's two separate injuries or whether he exacerbates something. We just didn't see it on film on Sunday, but we need more information before we have an idea what's going on. Now, him having the next 4 weeks off, returning in week 6 because he has to miss 2, 3, 4, 5, gives him ample time to work back through whether it's a high ankle sprain he did try to play through, whether it's more significant MCL sprain or something we don't even know that's going on right now. So we need more information before we can definitively say what's going on with him and how he's going to perform and returning. But it's definitely a perplexing injury that even as a Bills injury analyst, this has me confused.
Yeah, I think it has us all confused at the same time, where there was the obvious situation, or so we thought was obvious, that Ty had suffered the ankle injury. I saw the same film that you have, and so have all of our Patriots fans and our listeners out there that believe that Ty would probably be going on injured reserve, short-term injured reserve with that injury. And when it came down that he did end up being placed on injured reserve after suiting up for 1 week, it was a little bit of a surprise. But it is, good to hear at least that if they are optimistic that he might be able to return, and that is the rumblings out from what we've heard, either reporters on the scene or behind the scenes information that's been shared with the media, that he will essentially be able to return to the field at some point this year. That definitely is good. But Bill Belichick, again, was cryptic this week when we asked him about Ty Montgomery, and he says, obviously, if he's healthy, yeah, we'll put him out there. But he did make the caveat that he always makes, that he's not a doctor, and that unfortunately it does mean that we're going to have to watch very closely to see how he's able to recover and how he's able to to go at it from there. So your guess is as good as ours, Kyle, but thank you for the at least information that we can hang our hats on when it comes to Ty Montgomery and the injury that we've seen, and we'll continue to break that down here for you on Locked On Patriots. But thank you for the medical insight, which is quite honestly something I am certainly not qualified to give. I'm glad that you're able to do so. So thank you so much. Kyle, before we let you go today, there is one more prominent Patriot injured. Rookie Tyquan Thornton suffering an injury that a lot of people thought could have been season ending. Good news on Tyquan, which looks like he will be available at some point this year. We're looking at maybe a return in 6 weeks, but the nature of his injury has caused people to wonder whether or not he'll be the same player when he takes the field. We're going to ask Dr. Kyle Trimble that question when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast wraps up. But first, folks, today's episode is also brought to you by the great folks over at Athletic Greens. They put out a fantastic product I literally use every day. And let's face it, folks, we all want more energy. I started taking their AG1 for that reason, and I absolutely love it. One delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, and I'm already enjoying better gut health, more energy, greater focus, and you will too. AG1 is a small micro habit with big benefits. It's the one thing that you can do every single day to take great care of yourself. Right now, it's in time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills or supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easier, Athletic Greens is going to start to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NFL Network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NFL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. athleticgreens.com. Pats fans, we are ready to wrap things up here on the pod with Dr. Kyle Trimble of BangedUpBills.com. Dr. Kyle, always a pleasure that you join us here on Locked On Patriots, taking time out of your busy schedule to do so and help put our mind at ease about some of the walking wounded that are existing in Foxborough right now. Good news on Mac Jones. I don't want to say shaking news on Ty Montgomery, but up and down information. There's still, I think, a little bit more that needs to come out before we're really able to know what his injury is and whether we can expect to see him back at some point this season. But one player that Patriots fans are expecting to see back in short order, or at least in short order in terms of his injury, is rookie receiver Tyquan Thornton. Tyquan was enjoying a very good preseason, a very good training camp prior to going down with the injury. And initial reaction was that this could be season ending for the kid. A lot of people were worried about it, but indications are that he will be able to come through his surgery, that he will be back within 6 weeks, which is what a lot of people are predicting. And if that's the case, we may see him back within a few games. Now, the other part of this, Doctor, is we're looking at whether or not Tyquan is going to be the same player when he comes back. You and I both know that injuries to wide receivers are always shaky because fans are expecting them to come back and be the explosive player they were before the injury the minute they step back on the field. You and I both know that's not always the case, but in Tyquan's case, it actually could be. Based on the nature of your background treating the injury that he has, or at least doing research on the injury he has, what should Patriots fans expect from Tyquan Thornton when he returns to the field?
So to look back on injury, he suffered what appeared to be a right collarbone injury in the preseason against the Panthers. So what's interesting is he didn't leave the game immediately. I believe that he played through another few plays before he got to halftime, and then they took him out and realized what happened. So the fact that he's that tough to play through collarbone fracture is impressive. Once they figured out what was going on, they took him out, got the x-rays, and figured out to do surgery. They placed him on IR after the roster cutdown days, allowing him to return later this season. So they take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks to fully heal up, placing him to return about week 5 or 6 based off of when he originally suffered the injury. That'll be about 8 weeks out. The only reason I say week 5 or 6 is because it depends on how much time he needs to ramp up. From a cardiovascular standpoint, he should be ready to go and he'll be able to work out, run, do all the stuff he needs to on the bike, but it's getting the arm up and ready to move around again and then reabsorbing that contact. He's been without being able to initiate contact for some time, and then he needs that ramp up time in practice to make sure that he's not having residual soreness and pain, swelling in the area after he gets hit in practice. And he can't do that while he's on injury reserve. He can be in team meetings, do everything else, but he can't be practicing with the team. So it just depends on how comfortable the team is when they ramp back up. But typically with the collarbone fractures, they have to put a plate and some screws in there, actually making the collarbone tough or more stronger than it was before. And the function of the collarbone is act like a strut in a car. So it attaches to the sternum and attaches to the scapula. So it provides stability so the scapula can kind of move up overhead and the shoulder and provide that support against the thorax, the rib cage and whatnot. So it's a pretty straightforward injury. We should see him come back as long as he's doing the rehab right. They've obviously done a lot of things right in New England the past 20 years, getting guys up and ready. This should be no different, but it might just depend on how willing he's be able to take a hit when he comes back to practice and then just how he's feeling. So he could come back as soon as week 5. I could see them take a little bit longer just because he's a rookie. Want to make sure he's up and comfortable with the playbook and do everything else he needs to. But I don't see a drop off in play once he does return, other than maybe knocking the rust off, cobwebs, what have you, just to make sure that he's ready to play out there.
Yeah, very, very good information, Doctor. And just one question to follow up on that. I know a lot has been made about his slender frame. Tyquan had took a little bit of flack on that in the draft process coming out of Baylor. It really wasn't that much of a concern with the college game, but a lot of people thought that he needed to put a little bit more on in terms of weight, in terms of muscle, in terms of strength to be able to hold up against pro level hits. Is this something that could be a problem for him long term if he doesn't, or is this injury really the same no matter what your frame? It's just a matter of your pain tolerance and your ability to go back in and do it.
It really just comes down to just how the injury occurs. Not so much pain tolerance, because if you break it, it's going to hurt no matter how tough you are. There is a chance he could suffer the injuries later on, but once you get the plate in there, there's a less likely chance that it's going to happen, just because you have that extra support there. So his slender frame, he got up through college, did everything else he needed to get to this level. If he needs to bulk up, that'll be on the strength and conditioning staff to make that happen. But I don't believe his slender frame will prevent him from succeeding in the NFL. It just different body types perform differently, and he should be no different.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you said that. We had the opportunity to speak with Tyquan very shortly after he was drafted here in New England, very early May. And the question came up about, putting on. And he says, I know that, my workout regimen has to change a little bit. I have to get a little bit better, in terms of, bulking up a little bit. But he was very careful to say that part of the reason why he is so fast and he has that dynamic speed that Patriots fans fell in love with is because of his frame and is because of the way he's built. He didn't want to deviate too much from that because you don't want to get away from what your bread and butter is. And to him, that is definitely being able to fly down the field. And Patriots fans certainly hope that they're going to be seeing that sooner rather than later because, again, Tyquan was starting to show a real affinity for this Patriots offense, including getting acclimated to route running fairly quickly. And I know from your personal experience of watching the New England Patriots for a number of years, from an enemy standpoint, one of the more difficult things for Patriots receivers is to get on the same page with the quarterback and learn the system. He was doing a good job of doing that at a very young age. So good news on Tyquan Thornton, and I appreciate you ending us on a good note here when it comes to the New England Patriots and their walking wounded. But again, Doctor, I've definitely said throughout this podcast, the work that you're doing is all encompassing when it comes to the AFC East, the specialization with the Buffalo Bills, of course, and of course the synergy that you have with our good friend Joe Marino, who hosts Locked On Bills, and also our good friends that do the the Rock Pile Report podcast, excuse me, folks, over in Buffalo. So before I let you go, please let everyone know where they can find you, where they can absorb all of your great work and what you have coming on the horizon in the coming days and weeks in the NFL season.
So you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Instagram at Banged Up Bills. You can find my work at bangedupbills.com. I'm doing some AFC East injury video roundups at cover1.football. And new to bangedupbills.com this year is an AFC East injury preview. So you'll be able to find every injury report for every AFC East team broken down with as many details as we can publicly find. So if you're looking to see what's going on around the division, what's going on with it, you're going to find it there. You're not going to find any more detail than bangedupbills.com.
Absolutely, folks. And I cannot highly recommend enough what Dr. Kyle Trimble has done in terms of breaking down injuries where all of the AFC East teams are concerned. You definitely want to keep an eye on him if you're a Patriots fan, and also for his work that he does with the Bills, Dolphins, and Jets. If keep your friends close, but your enemies closer, and he allows you to do that. But you are a great friend to the program, my friend, and thank you so much for joining me here today. Again, folks, he is Dr. Kyle Trimble. Check him out at bangedupbills.com. And I thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules on the weekend here to join Locked On Patriots and get the latest on the New England Patriots injury front. And if you're listening to this podcast in tandem with a Patriots preview of the action that you're going to see on the field, definitely check out Friday's episode of Locked On Patriots, where myself and Tanya Ray Fox of FS1 and the Almost Shameless podcast break down all the action that you're going to see on the field on Sunday. In the meantime, please continue to stay safe and stay well. Be the change you wish to see in the world. On behalf of Dr. Kyle Trimble, I am Mike Debate. Have a great day, everyone, and enjoy the game on Sunday.